Welcome to the Gaming Outsider Podcast. This week, Zack, Jacob, CB, and I are having a conversation about quality of life improvements and whether or not they make it a little too easy for us. In news, the III Initiative showcased a ton of games for us to discuss. As for new games discussed that we played, you'll hear Zack and I talk about our time with South of Midnight. Mark stops by to talk about the Cecil, The Journey Begins. And Sean tells us about his time with Rendering Ranger R-Squared Rewind. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. We've also got our community at facebook.com/groups/the GoCast, and even a Discord server. There's a link for it in the show notes of this very episode. Today is Tuesday, April 15th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my friends, Zack Parkerson. What's up, man?
Scott, do you ever just think about how good the Blades of Chaos moment in God of War 2018 was?
I often do, man.
Yeah, me too.
Are we going to have a moment like that again?
I was just thinking about it the other day, and I was getting goosebumps again.
Yeah, it almost makes it worth replaying the entire game just for that moment.
I don't know about that, but
I said almost.
It was, yeah. That game was a little bloated. However, that was quite a moment.
It was a moment. Also joining us, Mr. Jacob Gunderson. What's up, man?
I forgot where I was. I had a complete brain fart. You said it was Tuesday, and I went, "It's Tuesday."
Yes, it is Tuesday all day. There's like 24 whole hours in there.
Yeah, I made a mistake. It just all wiped away.
And also joining us, Mr. Chris Baronsmeyer. What is going on, man?
I'm alive, I guess.
You are alive. Welcome back.
You look alive.
I took some consideration as you thought about that.
Dude, it's been a week. I'm tired.
I am as well. I actually took an extra day off of work, so I'm gonna have a 5-day weekend. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, dude.
Very, very
stoked.
What's
so special about your weekend that you get 4 days to start with?
This is the first time I've experienced this in my school district. We get Good Friday off and we get Easter Monday off, and I decided to take Thursday off for myself.
I forgot it was Easter.
I was going to say something snide about that, but I was like, we'll not start fights this early in the day.
All right. Well,
thank you for that, CB.
I appreciate that. If this is your first time listening to the Gaming Outsider podcast, we're just a bunch of guys that love video games, love talking about them, and trying to do our mark on the video games industry in terms of journalism. And I hope you enjoy the show because we have a lot of fun each and every week. And we kick things off with the games that we've been catching up on, not necessarily brand new ones, but maybe some that are hitting our backlog or that we just are replaying. CB, you've been gone a minute, so why don't you tell us about what you've been catching up on?
I played some more Assassin's Creed Shadows. I unfortunately haven't had as much time to chip away at it as I would like, but that is the game that just keeps on giving, man.
It's in a week.
It sucks because I haven't been able to play with like MGC last weekend and us going to Underground Retrocade.
Yeah, so you're not keeping up on your weeklies in Assassin's Creed Shadows?
No.
You'll never get those encrypted emails.
Yeah. I'll just roll back the clock.
Their sad excuse for a modern day storyline in Shadows. Although I say that, but I am eating it up. So what am I going to do?
Yeah, it's still awesome.
How far are you, CB?
Not much farther than the last time.
Okay.
I killed like the first 2, and then I tinkered some more, just kind of roaming the map. And yeah, I'm hoping that tomorrow I have a lot more time on my hands, and I'm just gonna be like, I want to get at least 2 more of the guys done. So
there you go. You mentioned the Underground Retrocade, which you and Jacob and myself attended. This was a charity event, a little tournament where they basically chose 6 different games, arcade games, and they had a little tournament on it. I chose not to compete because I knew I wasn't going to stand a chance whatsoever. But what did you play?
What was it? Bump and Jump. I tried to get to play, put a score up for Millipede, but that had like a line the entire time we were there.
Wasn't it Centipede?
Centipede, yeah.
It
was right next to Millipede.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I mean, regardless, I didn't get to put up a score for that one. Asteroids put up a score. Like all 6 games I put up a score for, My bump and jump score got blown out of the water like 10 minutes after I said it. So
Yeah,
I
by
was a
good
little sad
margin,
about
by
that.
almost double.
Yeah.
Whoa, obliterated then. Huh?
Well, the guy that was sitting there, like literally, like pulled up a stool, sat down. I'm like, oh well, I just got crushed. But yeah, still had a fun time.
We did. Jacob and I had a rousing match of NFL Blitz.
Yeah,
That,
which I get to watch you lose.
yeah, I was because it's 99, right? So the
Yeah.
Packers stat heavy and the Bears not so much. And I went up 14-0 in the first quarter and just, all right, this is awesome. And then I totally got Mario Karted in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you did.
I only chose the Bears because you like the Packers. I'm also a Packer.
Not to mention Jake was playing a little unconventionally, shall we say?
Yeah, yeah.
Just smash the joystick around to pick a random play and just run it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun though. I wish NFL Blitz would come back to consoles. Just
Yeah.
give us the Xbox Live version that was on there or arcade, whatever
I'm
it was.
surprised. The only thing that really surprised me during that game is I knew how to make the cursor to pick plays invisible, and you didn't say anything about it. You didn't say nothing.
You knew how to make it invisible, or you didn't know
Yeah.
how,
I did know how to. You didn't say anything about it.
but you didn't
Like-
do it.
I did. I did lots of times.
Oh, I did it every play. It's just like
I know.
it's just like
That's
muscle memory now.
Right. Like, oh, you don't play these games. How do you know that?
So, but yeah, other than that, I've been working a little bit more on my Warhammer army. Been doing a lot of painting.
Mhm.
Dude, Space Marine really changed your life.
Dude, no lies. I am currently on book 16.
Whoa, of the
Say
Horus
low light?
Heresy.
Yeah, I am flying through it. But yeah, been painting a lot. I'm gonna be doing like a small like new player tournament with Nate pretty soon.
Nice.
So, but yeah, and then MGC, which was awesome and quite possibly one of the most tiring weekends I've ever had up there. So,
For those not aware, MGC is the Midwest Gaming Classic. It's the second largest video game convention in the United States. It takes place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
yeah, bought a lot of games.
Anything stand out?
I am now less than 60 games away for Super Nintendo being complete.
Nice.
So chipping away. I think the best one I picked up for that was Sparkster. And then I am now under 10 for Sega Master System. I bit the bullet and I bought James Buster Douglas.
Ooh.
Yeah, that hurt.
I noticed you didn't buy that it was a 3DO game that was in the case.
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
I've also gotten multiple phone calls from the guy who owns it. Like, hey man, we're gonna work out a deal on this.
What was the
And I'm
name
like,
of the game again?
Dino Park Tycoon.
Dino Park Tycoon. And what was the price tag on it at the
He
show?
wants $7,500.
Oh my god, that's a lot of money.
It's the only
I-
game he does not have for that platform.
And it's funny because one of the other people in one of the big 3DO forums, like
Mhm.
we know each other through Facebook. He happened to be there, and I was just like, oh yeah, like the booth I'm working at just happens to have the one game we're both really missing. And even he told the guy, he's like, you're absolutely nuts if you think you're gonna get that price.
What's the price
He's like-
starting value?
There really isn't one because
Oh,
it sells once every like 5 years.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's such a unique market that like of the 10 people in the country that would probably want to buy that game, 2 of them are at MGC and they were both like, no,
Yeah.
we're not paying that.
Interesting. So how do you do how do you negotiate a price when there's not really a value of it?
Throw a
I
number and
think
hope
it's
it
about
sticks.
this price.
Yeah, just kind of throw a number and hope it sticks. So
All right.
and I feel bad, Zach, because I really tried to make the time to get a copy of Devil May Cry 5 signed for you.
Oh yeah.
The entire voice
Marshmallows.
team was there for it.
Oh yeah. That would have been cool.
Yeah. I was just like, oh. But Tim Kitzrow does say hi, Scott, in case you hadn't talked to him.
Oh, we did talk to him just to confirm that he wasn't available on October 11th.
Yeah, he stopped by my booth, and so did Amon Green. So
Name drop.
yeah.
Right.
Hey, it's not very often that I get to do that.
That is awesome. Well, I'm glad you had a good time, man. Midwest Gaming Classic is fantastic. It's fun to go to every year. I wish I had a little bit more time to roam around, but we had to get back home that night. So next year, hopefully. But Zach, how's your backlog working?
Well, it was the last week I finished up Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Mhm.
So I decided to keep the Switch Assassin's Creed train rolling with Revelations.
Oh, okay.
So Old Man Ezio in Constantinople. And this one's still pretty good, but it's just not as good as Brotherhood, huh?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I kind of fell off on that one. I didn't even finish it. I had to YouTube the ending of that one because I got
really?
tired. I like once they incorporated like tower defense.
It's funny. Dude, I thought of you with the tower defense because it only comes up once.
Really?
In the main mission. Otherwise, it's entirely optional.
Okay.
But it is what everybody remembers about that game.
Yeah, I just
so funny.
I just checked out. I washed my hands of that game after that because I'm like, nope.
Wow.
I got what was that? What was that Jack Black game?
Brutal Legend.
Brutal
Legends.
Yeah.
Like same thing in that game. I was enjoying that game until I realized it was mostly I don't know, almost like an RTS, and I was like, oh, I'm good.
It certainly wasn't mostly an RTS, but it was a very good RTS.
Was it?
Whatever.
I'll never know.
I
Yeah.
will say it's Revelations that has the Hagia Sophia, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I loved climbing around in that thing.
Yeah, no, the city's fun. The hook blade's an interesting thing, although it is funny, like how much emphasis they put on the idea, like, hey, we check it out, we put a hook at the end of a blade, and you're like, everyone's like, oh. But no, I think the game is still very like good. It's such a step down. It's like the weakest of the Ezio trilogy for sure. I think.
I agree.
There's a solid love story. You get to see more of Altair, but the Altair missions are so short. There's such like a flash in the pan. And then Desmond is, I don't know if you remember, he's like in a coma the entire game on this one. So he's just like hanging out on an animus beach, doing nothing. So
yeah.
I don't know, but overall, yeah, still good. They don't have like the side content's not as interesting as Brotherhood. I don't know. It's just such a step down.
Wasn't this your New Year's resolution for last year?
Yeah, that's right. I'm making up for lost time. I guess I didn't compute how much time you can get in on the Switch with these games. I don't really realize.
Was it just to play through the Ezio storyline or just all of them?
It was to finish up the Desmond saga.
Oh, okay.
So play 3 as well, which I'm sure I'll do after this on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Due to my super long commute, although all of my job's going away, so not as much commute coming up.
Sorry to hear that, man. I could just play it at home.
Yeah. I'll probably there's so many games coming out. It's hard to want to play, Switch at home, I guess.
I get you.
Feels like a opportunity cost. But I was also thoroughly distracted this past week by Evil West, Cowboys versus Vampires.
You didn't play this at launch? I thought you did.
No, because at the time I only had like a base Xbox One, and that's what I tried to play it on, and it ran like doo-doo.
Okay.
So I had to, so I put it on the back burner, and then I don't know why I was just this week looking at my shelf, and I was like, it's inexcusable I haven't played the game about Cowboys versus Vampires yet.
Yeah, pretty much.
What am I doing? So I played it, and I think I'm on the last level already because it's really short.
It is short,
which is nice, very refreshing. But I think it's great, dude. I love it. It's really. I remember when it came out, Scott, you said it was a game where it felt like the cutscenes were the reward, and I definitely get that energy because so much of it is so just fun in tone.
Yes,
whipping out lines like "I hear you're sharpening your fangs for the president." It's ridiculous. But I
kind of miss that era of games
for sure, right? But then when they make the occasional game like that, it just doesn't do very well. So I guess we're the only ones.
We're a very somewhat vocal minority, I guess.
Yeah, but like this, or we'll talk about South of Midnight later. They come out of the budget price, but I guess just doesn't make a difference for people.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
This game's cool. It has kind of God of War-esque combat, like the new God of War. A lot of fun, a lot going on during the combat where you have the constant spatial awareness, and each button does something different. I guess I didn't expect it to that guns are not the focus.
Right. Yeah, me either. I thought it was going to be like Gears of War, like from the original trailer.
I agree, but it is mostly a melee game, and the guns are like little tools, like in your little like if like combat was a chessboard, they're each a different piece.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I remember being very frustrated in some of the arenas where there's some vampires that like do these giant glowy things in the sky that you have to
shoot
while you're trying to take care of the guys on the ground, and I found that
Yeah.
super annoying.
Well, I'm not finding it super annoying, but it is certainly challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging.
But you get so many tools in different ways. It's it's all part of the challenge. But it definitely gets overwhelming near the end of the game.
Yes.
It's like the combat's so intense. Like every time I finish a battle, now I'm just like,
Yeah.
you gotta exhale.
Doesn't that game do the thing where it makes a noise when the?
Yeah, it has a wind chime.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that very much.
Very Gears-esque in that way.
Jake, what about you, man?
In light of our Baldur's Gate 3 nonsense coming up, I decided to go back and play it a little bit. Got rid of a bunch of games on my PC to make room for it because it's like 150 gigs, which I was sad about.
Dude, I mean,
a couple of games that I like to play.
These games are outrageous. It's like I don't think I can have Baldur's Gate and Assassin's Creed on my console at the same time.
Yeah,
No,
It's just so much space.
but I've been going through that game. I've played through the first act, I think 3 times now with a few different classes.
Are you gonna do it a 4th time?
just to kind of figure out which one I want to do. But now they've done the final update and released a bunch of subclasses. So now I'm gonna go through and do it all over again and see which one I want.
12 new subclasses.
It's one subclass for all of the classes.
Do you pick your subclass at character creation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, for what Jake is alluding to is we convinced Zack to play through Baldur's Gate 3 with us, much like we did with Kevin and Paul. We wanted to do like a Go crew version of it. So we're going to have myself, Jacob, Zack, and Kevin all in a 4-man team. We're going to only play it when all 4 of us are there, maybe one person gone. We're going to each create our own character. And then Zack is the only one that hasn't played it at all. So he's going to be running the story. He's going to be making the story decisions and where we're going. He's going to be the party leader. And I am looking so forward to that because, as I've mentioned so many times on the show, Kevin was really good about not revealing anything and not divulging any kind of information that was going to sway me one way or the other. He just wanted it to be a very organic thing. And I plan on doing the exact same thing with you, Zack, except for a couple things that we're going to make sure you do hit just because it's hilarious. But
Interesting.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a fun exercise because I've never played a story heavy game like this, like choice driven with other people. Because I guess they don't really make a lot that you play with other people. But it'll be fascinating. Like it has to keep me honest because I can't be like, hold up, I gotta Google where this side quest is or whatever.
right.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting.
It's really going to be an exercise because Scott's going to have to be quiet for long periods of time.
Wow. Anyway,
That's just when he checks his email.
we are planning to for maybe the first time in a long time stream this experience. So we're going to I've got a capture card. I bought an Elgato. Is that what it's called? An Elgato capture card. I'm going to hook that up to my laptop and my console, and I'm going to have us streaming it. We're going to be, if you guys want to watch it live, we're going to be playing at the butt crack of dawn on Sunday mornings.
Wow. I knew we were recording it, but streaming it is a news to me. But
all
right.
Hey, Zack, just a heads up.
Thanks.
We're gonna be streaming Baldur's Gate 3.
Now I really got to be honest when I'm playing.
Yeah, right. And it's gonna be fun. So I'm looking forward to it. We have you like installed it? Have you like messed around with the character creation at all or anything?
Well, I can't install it because I got to make room on my hard drive first.
Oh.
But and I knew the patch was coming, so I was like, I'll just eat up all my hard drive in one shot.
There you go.
Actually, reset your hard drive, and then load it.
Yeah. All right.
Wipe it all.
My wife's out of town this weekend, so I'm gonna clear up some games and delete them. So it's all good.
There you go.
Sure.
As for me, a while back, Zack, you and Alyssa talked about Duck Detective: Secret of the Salami.
Yeah.
Which I believe you guys played on console, correct?
I played it on Steam Deck.
Steam Deck. Okay. Well, it turns out it's coming to mobile. It's coming to iOS and Android. And I was gracious. I was lucky enough to be given a copy from one of my PR contacts. So I've been playing this game. What a charming ass game, dude. This game is great.
I know. I told you.
I was not expecting to enjoy this. Just like his voice and everything is just great.
He's ruffled noir detective that he is. Yeah.
And it's just charming and goofy and silly. And just like, I obviously can play the entire game just by tapping. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's not gonna break your brain. It's not gonna, test your thumbs or anything like that. It's a point and click type of game, but you're looking for clues, and then they bring you to a menu where you have to select the right words in the right spots to solve the crime and everything. And it's just very satisfying, very rewarding. So if you guys have not checked out Duck Detective: Secret of the Salami, you now can on mobile devices, and I think it's a perfect platform to do that.
Yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense on mobile. And I think a second case is coming this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for our Duck Detective, because the Secret of Salami is only like 2 or 3 hours long, maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty short.
They're pretty manageable. So I mean, the idea of getting one of these every year or so sounds delightful to me.
What's the next one going to be? Like the Puzzle of Pickles?
I can't remember. I think they did announce the name of it, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
But yeah, Zach and Alyssa were right. So you do not want to miss that game. I forgot to write down the price, but it's a little 2-3 hour game. It can't be expensive. So
yeah, I think it was $10 on Steam, I believe.
All right. Usually they're cheaper on mobile.
Right. And the sequel is The Ghost of Glamping. So expect some glamorous camping.
I was gonna say, isn't glamping like car camping?
Fancy. It's like fancy. It's like camping, but when you get like an air conditioned cabin, right?
There you go. Yeah. There you go. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead now and jump into the week's news. Quite a bit of things happened this week. A couple things we just learned about right before we started recording. But first off, got some new game announcements. Vlad Circus, Curse of the Asmodeus, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC in 2025. Biomorph on Switch on April 4th. That's already out. Oceanhorn, Chronos Dungeon. If you guys remember Oceanhorn, I think it was a PC mobile game coming. It's like a sequel coming on in the second quarter of this year. I don't know how to pronounce this. Ixion. Coming to Xbox Series S and X, PS5. It was previously on PC. It is available now on console. I got some news about Split Fiction. The soundtrack is available. If you like that game, you can now go listen to the soundtrack anywhere you stream stuff. Still Wakes the Deep lands 3 awards at the BAFTA Awards. A Farming Simulator gets a 16-bit edition. Bendy and the Ink Machine gets an Xbox Series S and X and PS5 release in the second quarter. And Toria looks to be taking a serious step towards an RPG on mobile devices, and that comes out June 25th. Also this week, the III Initiative brought some indie delights. Lots of good things to talk about there. Marathon displays Proof of Life. We talked about that briefly last week, but we actually have a gameplay trailer now. And lastly, Oblivion Remake is all but assured at this point. Looks like we had some leaks this past week. I'm going to start things off with CB. Which story would you like to talk about, sir?
Oh, Farming Simulator 16-bit edition.
I am so surprised by how many people are excited about this. It's awesome.
Dude, it's a Sega Genesis game. Are you kidding me? Come on.
Yeah.
I'm so Strictly Limited is releasing this in May. It's going to be like taking the Farming Simulator, but putting it in a 16-bit version. I'm more or less curious to see like how in-depth or big this game is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jake and I have both played Farming Simulator. Those are massive. The limitations of a Sega Genesis is going to be interesting.
Well, stay tuned.
But it
next
looks
week
awesome
because Jacob will have thoughts on it next week. Because
you have it, Jake?
Is he allowed to say that?
I do.
Yes, he doesn't have it on Genesis. He has a code for it digitally.
Okay,
he'll be talking about that next week.
Okay,
So.
yeah. Let me know because regardless, I'm still buying a physical cart for it just because it's going to be hilarious.
You can pre-order that very soon. So
I know I've already put a reminder on my calendar for it.
They're already up. The pre-orders are already up.
Oh, the pre-orders are up. I'm sorry. I thought it was later for some reason. I must have misread it.
Yeah, because I thought it was the article that I got said the pre-orders wasn't going up till May.
The release date is May 14th, but they're already on for pre-order. The limited edition is for $50, and the deluxe edition is $70.
Oh. Yep. Buying now.
He's buying it right now.
Right now, as we speak.
Live on air.
All right, Zach, what about you? What story intrigues you?
Well, we better talk about Marathon later. However, I do want to special mention Oceanhorn Kronos Dungeon here. Because I think both the Oceanhorn games are great. I have the limited print runs for both of them.
Nice.
I think it's a great little Zelda knockoff. And since Nintendo ain't making Zelda games anymore,
they are
not the way I like them. Hashtag not my Zelda.
My Zelda.
Although for the record, they're great. Okay, just Breath of the Wild is exceptional. It's just not. You know what I mean? It's not the Zelda as we know it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like the traditional dungeon crawling.
Right, the puzzle solving.
Not bite-sized dungeons, just full-on dungeons.
Yeah. And Oceanhorn Kronos Dungeon, a multiplayer kind of rogue rune-based randomizer spin on Oceanhorn. Yeah, dude, I'm in. You know, it has that old school Zelda look. So I'm all over it. You know, maybe Scott, we could pretend we'll play this together and then not do it. That'd be fun.
That's kind of what we do.
Yeah, so let's plan on playing it together.
All right, let's plan on playing it together.
Can't wait. Not play it. Yeah, can't wait to not do that.
Baldur's Gate 3 is happening, my friend. That is happening.
It better.
Otherwise, Kevin will skin us alive.
I'll see you on the 27th.
Yes. All right, Jake, what about you, sir?
What items? Oh, let's do the Oblivion.
I knew that's what you were going to do.
Shut up. I cannot remember how many hours I've already. Okay, so when Oblivion came out, me and a buddy of mine got 2 copies. We went down into our basement, and for 3 days we did not leave couches. So
wow,
it was bad. It was bad. We bought tubs of ice cream and cans of soda and like 6 packs of soda or whatever, 12, whatever. And
that's all you need at that age.
Yeah, for 3 days we just did not leave the couch. We just played Oblivion the entire time, which was a weird experience because I went one way and he went another way. So knowing what I know about Oblivion, I can't wait to see what they've changed. And I mean, it's not supposed to be. It's just a remake, right? It's not a reimagination of it. It's just
they've supposedly changed some of the way the combat works and whatnot, but I haven't played the original to know what those differences would be.
Remake versus remaster.
Yeah,
right.
So,
well, the reason we're bringing this up is because, like I mentioned earlier, minutes before we started recording, we read that some screenshots leaked online. Got a chance to take a look at those, and allegedly, I'm saying allegedly, the rumor is that this thing is going to be shadow dropped next week, which would just be insane, especially if it's on Game Pass.
I mean, it would be silly just because this could be a huge. I think this could be a huge hit for, Bethesda. So it'd be weird to just shadow drop it, but who knows?
I mean, in the world we live in, man, I feel like flash in the pan type stuff, right?
That would legitimately be like the biggest shadow drop in a long time.
Well, Ninja Gaiden 2 was a pretty decent one.
Right.
Ninja Gaiden 2.
I think Oblivion is slightly larger than Ninja Gaiden 2.
I don't think anybody's going to match the excitement of Hi-Fi Rush, a brand new game from a story developer, and it's out today. That was crazy.
That was pretty cool. Anyway, did you guys get a chance to see the screenshots?
Yeah, it looks good.
The screenshots kind of look blurry on what I was looking at. So I don't
know. Oblivion kind of looked blurry. Maybe they're keeping the spirit alive.
The first ones that I saw were definitely fakes. So,
well, there's some real deal ones. Look, as corroborated by GameSpot and IGN, there are some real deal screenshots out there.
Yeah,
looks like it toned down the bloom lighting a little bit.
Maybe a little bit,
which does change the aesthetic of Oblivion a little bit.
I'm looking forward to giving that one another shot because I didn't make it very far in the original, and now that I have a little bit of Skyrim under my belt.
I mean, it can hold me over until 6 gets a release. Anything,
well, dude, you plenty of time.
You're gonna play. You think you're gonna be able to play this till 2035?
No.
All right. Well, I want to kick things off. Not kick things off. That's not the right word. I want to move on and talk about the III Initiative. I actually got a chance to watch this about an hour before we recorded, And holy cow, they showed, number one, a lot of games
Yeah.
and a lot of really cool looking games that I've never heard of before. I don't want to read through the entire list, but obviously Moonlighter 2, we already knew that was a thing. Got a little bit more gameplay of that one. Put that in my veins right now. That is Scott Clark crack right there.
Yeah,
I
dude,
cannot
you
wait to play that
loved
game.
Moonlighter.
I loved Moonlighter. If you haven't read my review, check it out and go play that game. It's just so good, so
Is it
rewarding.
the shop one?
Yeah, it's a dungeon crawler, and then the loot that you get, you go back to your shop, but it's not just like turn it in for money. The stuff that you get, you actually have to put on the shelf and price it.
Yep, I'm gonna have to play it.
And then like you have to like look at the faces of your customers to see if they think it's a really crappy price, if it's a really good price, or if it's just the perfect price, and then you adjust as you go. And now that the game's been out, you really could just meta the game and like look up and just get the exact price, but that's not fun. It's really fun to experiment with that game. So but this one, the color palette seems to be the same, but the graphical style looks I'm not gonna say better, it just looks different. It looks crisper for sure.
Up.
Yeah, it looks cleaned up. It looks less pixel and more like the edges have been rounded off a little bit. And yeah, day one, I'm there, guys. I'm so there. But I got a couple that stood out to me as games that I definitely want to check out. But did anything stand out to you guys that you're intrigued to check out, or should I just hit mine?
I mean,
Sure. I mean, yeah.
There's two on there that I found that I'm like just kind of curious about, but
all right, let's start with Zack.
Okay, I think Akuma the Frozen Compass looks kind of cute.
Okay,
a little platformer. But the two that I was really intrigued with here were Over the Hill, which is it's like an adventuring vehicle game.
You stole one of mine,
which I guess CB also is interested in. I think that looks pretty interesting. And then No, I'm Not a Human. I mean, indie horror games feel like they come out rapid fire, but No, I'm Not a Human looks kind of interesting.
What is going on with that trailer?
Yeah, there's something about the weird energy it has in the trailer that intrigues me to play it.
Yeah,
and I like the title. I think it's a good name. No, I'm Not a Human.
I
want to be excited for Rematch, but I just don't think I can be.
Like we made soccer cool by putting it in cars, and now we're going back to.
Yeah, well, Sifu was a great game, So I want to be there for Soul Clap's next game, but I just don't care about soccer.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I cared about soccer for a minute when I got to ram a car into the ball and shoot into the goal. You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
But I'm kind of with you. But everybody else that is talking about this is just like, all right, this looks awesome. I'm like, guys, it's soccer. Like,
I mean, they brought in the camera, to your character's shoulder or whatever. I mean, it's an interesting way to go about it. I think it's just like,
you're right. It's usually over the pitch all the time in most football games.
Yeah. So if it's I can't remember if it's going to Game Pass or not, but if it is, I would try it there. But yeah, I don't think I could convince myself to pay money for it, which is a little sad.
I just worry that if you play that online with randos, it's going to be just like everybody going for the ball like they do in Rocket League.
Yeah.
And with that many players, that's going to be insane.
Well, in Rocket League, that's what you want. You want the insanity.
Right. But in this one, it's a little bit more grounded.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So I imagine you could that would be insane, but it'd also be easily exploitable if you're the other team not doing that.
True.
So
yeah,
who knows? Any others?
No, I think that about rounds me off. I feel like I cut you off earlier. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Ikuma, the Frozen Compass, you mentioned. I totally thought of you when I saw that trailer.
Really?
Because we always talk about like, can we just bring back the good old 3D platformers?
Yeah.
With some variety. I really like that one as well too. So I purposely did not write that one down because I knew you were going to mention it.
Yeah. Well, you were correct.
Yeah. CB, what about you? You said you had a couple. The one that Zack already mentioned.
Well, Over the Hill is definitely one of the ones that I've earmarked. Gives me like that Firewatch relaxing vibe.
Yeah.
Plus just the way it looks reminds me of that. But something about hill climbing in a Jeep or like that kind of vehicles seems awesome.
Even the voice in that trailer was just like very soothing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just like, yes, let's relax and drive over things.
Yeah,
This
yeah, it
is
was just
nice.
very nice energy.
The altars looks weird in my just. I like weird games sometimes. Granted, some I don't always finish them, but that game looks kind of like, it's different.
I don't know, man. I just can't gel with clones. There's too many clones.
Clones are always fun. Into the Fire,
I thought of you and I saw that one.
dude. Like,
Scott knows us all so well.
It looks like if Isaac Clarke were a fireman.
yeah, it really does.
It does. Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, I'm all about that one. Of course, Moonlighter 2. I kind of want to check out the Deep Rock Galactic stuff.
There's a couple of them, right? Well, there's one
Yeah,
that's
there's
like an auto
Deep Rock-
shooter.
Yeah, Deep Rock Rogue Core, and then Survivor. Both like, dude, I had fun when we played Deep Rock together. I kind of wish we had stuck with it. Like, Deep Rock Survivor is the one that's the auto like
Vampire Survivor.
Vampire Survivor style. So I wish that game had taken off more. It's just
You're
so
not
hard
the
to
only
get
one, because I played that one with like Joel and Christina and them back when we were, and they all liked it as well too. It just didn't click with me as much as them, and I just never felt compelled to go back. But I'd be willing to give it another shot.
it's just hard to find 4 people to play on a constant, like a regular basis. So
yeah. For me, Dusk Fade stood out to me. It's another 3D platformer with combat. I just love the art style. I miss this style of game.
Yeah,
I want to go back to that. So yeah, that was the first one I wrote down actually while I was watching this thing. Really awesome. Morbid Metal. Now, Zach, that this style of game is not normally my bag. It's 3D or a 3D combat, lock on kind of thing. I'm trying to avoid calling it a certain genre.
Sure.
Noticed.
Scary genre.
But the music in this trailer might have sold me on this thing, because that music was freaking awesome.
See, the music here did make me think of you, but then the gameplay style is like, there's just no way.
Dude, the music enough might have sold me on at least giving it a shot.
Okay, that's great.
I don't remember if it was just PC only or not. I forgot to write that down, but it is on my radar. I will say that. And the last one I have is Sacrifier, which is a 2D action platformer that just looked charming as all get out to me. I don't know. There's some like it's that pixelated animation that just looks very detailed, way more detailed, and the animations just look very vibrant and interesting. And this is a Scott Clark game, so those 3 stood out to me for sure. Jacob, did any speak to you?
Over the Hill.
That's great.
I'm a big Jeep guy, so I just anytime there's a Jeep in the game, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking that one. Void Breaker looked awesome.
That one did look good.
Combining the elements in your gun and then using it. And then Outbound. I hope it's multiplayer, because it looks like it's a survival craft that's out of a Volkswagen. So that sounds like it would be a nice little relaxing survival craft kind of game.
Yeah. I just got to tell you guys, I was not expecting such a powerful presentation from AAA. This is only like the second time they've done this, right? They did one last year, and got the information about the press release and everything, and I was like, oh yeah, I couldn't watch it because it was on while I was working. But then after going through and seeing everything that was there, I was like, holy cow, this is one of the ones that I'm going to be looking forward to each year, because there's just a ton of stuff. They did the world premiere thing in a lot of these, so a lot of these were brand new, but really, really enjoyed it. And it was just games.
Right. Yeah. No BS. Right. It's just nothing but trailers.
The worst thing I had was commercials during the YouTube stream.
Yeah. So that's gotta pay for premium, dude.
I don't know. Not anymore.
No.
So no random celebrities just like, hey, this is my friend.
Right.
No.
And no, like somebody coming up and like talking to the camera about how So there was a little bit of voiceovers here and there, but it was just enough. It was great. I loved hearing the voice of some of the developers and talking about it, but it wasn't egregious, and I really dug it. So yeah, Triple I Initiative is a showcase that I'm going to be making sure that I see in the future. We can't not talk about Marathon. We did mention it last week, but now that the gameplay trailer is shown, what's that?
We could not. We just skip it.
Well, the thing is that I know that none of us are big into this style of game. We're not as multiplayer focused as a lot of our community is, but I mean it's Bungie. I feel like it's going to be huge. It didn't stand out to me as doing a whole lot different outside of the art style. It's an extraction shooter, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Which is more like Destiny, not like a.
No, it's not like Destiny. It's
No,
like Hunt Showdown would be an extraction shooter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where you have to get something and bringing it back somewhere else.
Right. And if you die, you lose all the things that you've accumulated, and you lose at least in Hunt, you lose the character.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tarkov's the same way.
Okay.
So it's a pretty hardcore subgenre of shooter, I would say.
Gotcha.
Because you have to be okay with the idea that you're restarting from scratch, potentially every match. The Marathon's going a step further, where if you do happen to like build up a hefty inventory, they reset it every few months. Every season, you get a full wipe.
Yeah, which some people are upset about because you're paying for the game. This isn't a free-to-play game. You should mention they haven't given the price yet.
Yeah, but it is premium. They say whatever that means.
Okay.
I would assume 40, right? Because Helldivers and
Yeah.
Concord were, but maybe they think Bungie, gets a bump up to 50. I don't know.
I was say, wasn't Concord supposed to be premium too?
It was $40. Worked out well.
I have a feeling this one's going to work out better than Concord did.
Sure.
So,
The
so
name
48 hours? I mean, that's a 200% increase.
Right.
Fair. Anyway, this launches September 23rd, simultaneously on PS5, the Xbox Series consoles, and PC. The characters are set classes, loadouts, akin to a hero shooter. Teams of 3, no solo or duo queues, although you can play solo against teams of 3. You leave with the loot you carry out, like Zack mentioned, and they want to, quote, develop alongside the players. What does that mean?
It makes me worried.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like they don't have the vision locked in.
Yeah.
So we're gonna write it and see how you guys react, and then we're gonna come up with a story.
So basically, everybody write in and say you want My Little Pony skins.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be story driven. I think it's going to be more like, oh, this needs a tweak, that needs a tweak. This is overpowered. This is underwhelming.
Balancing.
And then they're going to start changing some things.
Yeah, they do claim that they want a strong story, although they have not written the story yet, even though the game comes out in September. So that's cool.
I mean,
Procrastination.
There was another game that did that in the past where they tried to like write the story as the game progressed. And I can't remember what game it was, but there was a game that they tried doing that, and it wound up falling like flat on its face.
Didn't that one have the TV show too?
Are you thinking of Quantum Break?
No, because Quantum Break was pretty much already written. Like there was just minor things that you could change in the game. I'll think of it. But there was a game where they tried to do that. There was like launch, and however the game plays, like that's where the narrative's going to go.
Okay.
Interesting. Stay tuned for more. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I'm probably not going to play it. If it were a free to play one that I could give a shot and try, but I'm not going to pay $40 for a game I'm going to play on a weekend. It's just
which I think is their biggest hill to climb, because you have all these free to play alternatives, or you have people are probably already set in their ways on the extraction shooters they have, or if they, or other like Helldivers, there's just so many other games that it's tough to put a price tag on a multiplayer game nowadays, which is, probably not great. But
which is insane, because multiplayer was always like the thing that was tacked on at the end of an Xbox 360 or PS3 game, right? Yeah. Like, by the way, there's a multiplayer component built into the game, and now it's like we just have multiplayer games.
It's a doubly tough ask when you're like, we're asking for money up front, and also there will be season passes and stuff like that. Like that just lets me know right up front that you don't care about me getting my money's worth. You care about getting the money out of me.
Right,
is what it sounds like.
I mean, it's not like you're not going to be able to play the game. You just
Of
won't
course.
be as geared up as everybody else.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like, what is the hook to playing a match of Marathon other than loot? Because in something like Hunt, you're going in to hunt a monster, and it's kind of got a gameplay system set up where you're finding clues and tracking the target, and then you have to kill that boss, and you have to hold off other players, etc. There's a loop to it, but all they described with this Marathon gameplay overview is like go in, kill things, and take loot. But I don't feel like just loot is a powerful motivator. Although maybe I'm alone in that. But.
This one is supposedly also P versus E, right? So there's going to have that like Titanfall like scrubs to take out on the way.
Yeah, I think that's par for the course with an extraction shooter.
Okay.
Although at Marathon they're trying to make the scrubs like actually difficult to engage, which is different for sure.
They were just cannon fodder in Titanfall. Like,
yeah.
And
in Hunt, they're basically just noise alerts. Like you want to try to kill them before they make noise and tip people off to where you are.
Oh, gotcha. There you go. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the news for the week. Before we move on, got some quick housekeeping to do. I haven't talked about Patreon on this episode, on this show in quite a while, because we are doing some changes with Patreon. To be perfectly direct and blunt, transparent. I am finding it very difficult to keep up with our commitment to doing episodes each and every month. It's just very, very difficult. So I can't promise that anymore. So what we've done is we're going to be eliminating the tiers on Patreon. We've decided we're not going to have tiers. We're still going to offer bonus content. We're still going to offer early access to the episodes and whatnot. But it's just going to be a single tier of $3. If you subscribe, we're going to kind of treat it like it's like if you like the show and you want to thank us for it, consider it like a tip jar. But if you do subscribe at the $3 tier, we're going to get you the ad-free versions of episodes. Any bonus content that we make, you will have access to. So all you have to do is $3. You get everything. If you want to contribute more because you love us, we're not going to say no, but we're not going to promise 2 episodes every month like we were doing in the past. If you are a subscriber, you notice that those weren't coming out quite as regularly. So we wanted to try to we want to kind of stick to doing what we say, and we haven't been doing that. So we are correcting that. With that said, there is a brand new Patreon exclusive episode available right now. I sat down with my friends at the Hollywood Outsider, John Davenport and Troy Heinrichs, to do a spoiler cast for The Last of Us on HBO, premiered this past Sunday. So if you'd like to check that out, head over to patreon.com/thegocast. We would love it if you checked it out, and it's a lot of fun, and we're going to be doing that each and every week. All right, before we get to the new games we've been playing, we're going to take a quick break for this message. All right, Zach, it's another busy week on new releases. What can everybody expect and plan to purchase?
Right at the top, we have a classic JRPG collection, Lunar Remastered Collection, coming to all consoles and PC April 18th. Post Trauma makes its way to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC April 22nd. Steel Seed, I was on the rundown last week, but they had a very last-minute delay, as did Post Trauma, actually. They both got pushed into this week. This is a stealth sci-fi game coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC April 22nd. Once Upon a Puppet comes to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Switch, and PC April 23rd. Sunderfolk makes its way to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Switch, and PC April 23rd. Opidium coming to everything in PC April 23rd. Clear Obscure Expedition 33, which I imagine is going to be some picks this week, coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC April 24th. That is Game Pass as well. Tempest Rising, classic game reimagined, comes to PC April 24th. Fatal Fury City of Wolves fighting game comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, and PC April 24th. The new run-based randomizer Yasha Legends of the Demon Blade comes to all consoles and PC April 24th. And then finally, the latest game from the creator of Danganronpa, the 100-line Last Defense Academy, comes to Switch and PC April 24th. Jake, are any of these games on this list tripping your trigger?
Opidium. It is a survival craft game, although it does look like you're a group of Boy Scouts going out into the wilderness and then becoming like knights towards the end of the game. So I'm kind of curious to see how that works. Because usually it's like, okay, we got to build armor, but like they've got like Afghans and stuff when they go out there. They build tents and fires and stuff. And I don't know, just I want to see the progression of the game.
All right, yeah, that's interesting. What about you, CB?
I'm gonna be flying around Clear Obscure
In your butt ship?
in the butt ship.
In the butt shit.
If you guys
Dude,
haven't seen the trailer for this game, you got to see the vehicle that you pilot.
It's a guy. He's got massive cheeks.
Yeah, it's
okay.
it's a dude with some big old cheeks and some
It's
horns.
caked up.
on it.
Well,
Caked up is an understatement.
what about you, Scott? Are you gonna be flying around your caked up ship?
Yes, there's no doubt that I'm not going to be playing Clair Obscure Expedition 33. The more I hear about this game, the more I want to play it right now. I wish it were coming out before my 5-day weekend. That would have been perfect, but alas, that's not going to happen.
I can relate. This weekend would have been ideal. However, we're gonna make it a hat trick because I am also playing Clear Obscure Expedition 33. Cannot wait. Boy, does it look good.
It really does. Open world, man.
You guys drop
Overworld,
extra
man.
Overworld, yeah, yeah.
$40. You can play it now. Yeah,
I don't think that's true.
no, it's not.
Although I am being foolish and buying a PlayStation copy. Because that's
Oh,
where
even though you can play it on Xbox, you're
Yeah,
going to buy a
it's just-
physical copy.
just feels right. Too excited. I need a copy on my shelf. You know, turn-based RPGs. That's for the PlayStation.
Oh.
You know, feels dirty playing the games like Lost Odyssey on Xbox. What are we doing? It's PlayStation.
Wasn't that only
territory.
on Xbox?
It was, yeah. That's why I felt, yeah. Great game.
Was. Very good.
All right. Speaking of games on Xbox,
Yeah.
you two, Scott and Zach, have been playing South of Midnight. How's that going?
Oh boy, do I have thoughts.
Complicated ask, Jake.
It really is.
We would like to hear those thoughts, so please enlighten us.
Well,
ahead, Zach.
I guess I'll say up front with the aesthetics of it, the atmosphere, impeccable. This kind of Cajun. I think Scott, you put it as a Cajun Grim fairy tales.
Yeah.
All right, then that's kind of what you're doing because you're, well, yeah. So you're in the South, presumably Louisiana, and you're exploring kind of the magical setting there.
Reminds me of like Alice in Wonderland in the bayou.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's a pretty good way to put it. She's like running into giant catfish that talk, and alligators with an island on their back. Like it's pretty out there stuff, but it's all super cool.
And apparently, it's all based on real myths or legends or whatever from the South, from what I've heard.
Okay. Yeah. So all of that stuff is wonderful. I think the music's really great as well. If you're worried perchance about the kind of the animated style that they go with, where it kind of cuts frames, I think it disappears into your brain. Like it's not noticeable.
I think it disappears a lot in general. Like I feel like it only does it at choice moments. It's not like the entire game is that way.
Yeah.
Like you never get it in the gameplay at all. It's only like in cutscenes and stuff.
Mhm.
Or like some things that in the environment, like you move normal, but then some of the critters in the background have that like on the twos kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's an all around good look, good sound. I think Hazel is a very fun protagonist. I'm enjoying her quite a bit.
Same.
She's got a wonderful little sass about her. It's just I don't know.
So what
There's
do
a
you
lot to
do with
like.
this game?
Well, it comes down to the gameplay. There's two elements of gameplay in this. There's platforming, 3D platforming, and then there is 3D combat. And I mean, this is a budget title in terms of
$40 because that is important to note.
yes,
For sure.
This is not like a AAA type game, although it still looks fantastic.
Right. Though funded by Microsoft, it definitely feels AA.
Yes. So there is a lot to love here, but there is something like I don't have a whole lot of issues with the platforming. I think it's fun. It just never feels like it quite reaches this plateau of awesome for me. Like everything is very obvious as to what you're supposed to do. It's very much it feels like an Xbox 360 PS3 era game where it's a linear game with all this branching stuff that you can do to try to find collectibles.
But they do, and thankfully they do that Dead Space thing where you can click in the stick so you can make sure to go the wrong direction before you go the right direction. Yeah,
Which is what I do every single time. Oh, I'm supposed to go that way, then I'm going to go over here.
right. Of course. Yeah.
but it is kind of cool how some of those things loop back. Like when you go off into a branching path, it kind of loops back and brings you back and dumps you back into the main path where you were. You know what I mean? So it's not just a straight path with a little hidden thing, although there are those things there as well. It's just that the mechanics are, for lack of a better word, simple. I mean, you got to jump, you got to double jump, you got to dash and a glide. You know what I mean? It's all things you've done before. It feels like it's just missing that tiny bit of polish. And the part that stands out to me the most, and maybe I just missed something, but there are these portions where it's like a chase sequence or like, the fog. You know what I'm talking about, Zach? Where
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a hurry. I feel like there's something chasing behind me, but I never see it. Am I misunderstanding that, or is it just fog that I'm just navigating through?
Yeah, no, I mean, if it's what I'm thinking of, yeah, if you stand still, it'll kill you, but it takes
Okay.
a while. Yeah, so there certainly is something chasing you. It's just very easy to stay ahead of, which is often the case for chase sequences, really.
Yeah, unless it's Ori.
Right. Yes. Well, the bosses were the chase sequences in Ori.
Yeah. So that never quite is exactly what I want. There's just something that just feels a little off. And like even with the platforming, like, do you ever have issues like getting onto a ledge? Like you just want to go up one little ledge and it's like she like kind of bounces off of that corner of that ledge a couple times.
Yeah. And this is a very particular complaint,
Uh-huh.
but I do not like that when you're aiming where to jump her, because she does the traversal thing like Nathan Drake, on ledges. But in those games, if you're trying to like jump up or whatever, he'll like reach his hand up or off to the side to like let you
Yeah.
know that you're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And Hazel doesn't do that.
Yeah, so you have to experiment a lot of times. And I've bit it a couple times, just like thinking I was supposed to jump, and instead I jumped down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So it just so that's like a small frustration, but it's just like it's a weird oversight. But I know that's a minute complaint. But you are climbing on a lot of ledges, and I just wish I had that touch.
Yeah, I
You know?
totally agree. So I have less issues with the traversal that I do
Yeah,
with
I'll
the.
say I'm finding the traversal fun. I think that
Okay.
the
Yeah,
gliding and the jumping, it's all good. There's a grappling hook there. I
that
wish
feels awesome. Where you Spider-Man your way across a map.
Yeah,
That
I
feels
think
pretty cool.
all that stuff's cool. I guess sometimes I wish there was like, well, I guess you know what? They just started introducing like some threats during platforming,
Okay.
like poop sprinklers. I don't know if you saw that
Oh
in like
yes.
chapter. Yeah, so yes, Jake. I don't remember how they quantify it or how they justify it, but they're there. So yeah, so I think it's like getting the platforming is getting more interesting as it goes, which is what you'd want.
Right. I agree with that, and I thoroughly enjoy those moments, like getting from A to B, and then like searching every nook and cranny to try to find the little things to be able to upgrade your skill tree. Um, and I also use that as a gauge to kind of get an idea of how far the level I am, because you can go to the pause menu and see how many you have left.
Yep.
So I kind of treat that as a progress meter. That's good. Where my biggest issue with this game comes with the combat, because man, the enemies look awesome, right? Like what are they called? Haints?
The haint, yeah, the main haint looks really cool. Like the way it's kind of marionetted around.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool look. But I don't know. I feel like the other guys kind of look like blobs to me.
They start just looking like blobs. What
Yeah.
do they call the stuff that coats everything that she's trying to get rid of? I can't remember what they
Well,
stigma. Don't they
oh,
call
stigma.
it
Oh, yeah.
stigma?
Yeah.
They just look like big blobs of stigma. But yeah, the original Haint model looks really awesome. The combat is melee focused, and at the beginning, all you can do is attack and dodge, and it's very frustrating because as soon as you land 2 hits, the enemies do one of 2 things: they either swipe at you immediately.
With like no tell either.
It's hardly a tell. It's
Yeah.
gotten to the point where I'm just mashing twice and dodging automatically because I know it's what they're going to do.
Right. Yeah. You get a feel for it, but I don't think the enemies communicate their attacks like you would expect from any other
Like I need a
game.
half second more of
Yeah.
a tell, and then or they turn. And this is what's frustrating is they
Mhm.
got to make it a little bit difficult. You could be like just straight up wailing on a character,
Let's
and
see.
then it just turns yellow, which makes it invulnerable, and then it does an attack that cannot be dodged or whatever. Like, okay, I guess I'm done attacking him for now. I'm gonna get out and then get back in on the next one.
Yeah, I think it's a total flow killer. Like you're in the flow of combat, and then they do that lock up where they just turn invincible and then explode in a radius,
Yes.
and every enemy type seems to have one of these, and it's not interesting. I don't think. I think it's kind of annoying. Like even if they still had that devastating attack, because it does take away quite a bit of your health if you get hit by one.
Mhm.
But even if they just let you continue to attack, so it was like your decision, kind of a risk reward thing.
Yeah.
That could make it a little bit interesting, or because they're maybe they're like 2 attacks away from dying, so you're like, well, I can get in there before they get that
Yeah.
off, but you don't have that option here. It just locks you out of the fight for. You just have to like wait for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
That's not very fun.
And it's not like there's like a counter meter that I'm trying to keep up or anything like that. But like you said, the flow killer is a great way to describe that, because you eventually start to get the hang of it, and you just start wailing away, and then you just can't. You just have to like restart your whole strategy again. And then later on, I don't know if you've gotten this far, the way that they make it more difficult outside of just throwing more enemies at you at once, there's a story related thing where you just lose all your powers. So you have to go fight these enemies now without your your push and your pull, your strands
Interesting.
and threads and everything like that. And I'm like, you guys just made it even less fun now. Like, I was just getting the hang of doing this.
Uh-huh.
And I should mention that the powers that she's got the ability to do like a force push, basically, that can stun the enemies. She could do a force pull, but again, it's not force. It's like she's got these strands that she's using.
Right, because
It's-
she's a weaver. She learned she can see into the tapestry of life and kind of pull at the threads.
right.
Yeah, it
So
looks like
she's
she
got those two
offensive
things. She's
play.
got the little critter called Crouton that you
Yeah,
can
well, it's
control
like
in
a-
some sections.
It's like a stuffed animal come to life. It's like her little voodoo Vince.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And you can kind of throw that at enemies, and they become on your side. What else is it? There's like so many powers thrown at you like very quickly. Like,
Uh-huh.
I almost wish that it was spaced out just a little bit more, but
Well, I don't
um,
think it's a very long game, so
yeah, it's only like
yeah.
12 hours, something like that. But yeah, like I got to the point until I really got the hang of the combat where I was just not looking forward to encounters because they were annoying. Like, I was enjoying the platforming and enjoying the storytelling and the music and everything. And then, oh, I got to fight this arena section. I know it's coming.
I think it would be less frustrating if there was less combat, but there is so much combat in South of Midnight,
Hmm.
and it's not in depth enough to warrant that. I'm not expecting Devil May Cry here or anything, but it's basically like a 3D platformer in mentality. You're going around this environment collecting things, but the key to those games was that combat was snappy and you kind of did it as you were jumping around.
Right.
But South of Midnight, it's always locked into an arena. You always see it coming. It's always got giant walls around it and like a healing thing in the center. So combat can never be a surprise. It starts to become this thing that you're like, oh boy, here we go again.
Yeah.
Like you start to dread it because it really, I don't know if you agree, Scott, but it feels like a ton of the gameplay time is combat.
Well, I will say, I don't know how far you are, but how far did you get?
I think I'm in chapter 6.
Okay. I'm in chapter 12.
Okay.
And there you hit a point where you just kind of lock in and you start going through a rhythm of the same patterns of skills that you use, and managing your health and all that kind of stuff. It becomes easy. It becomes second nature, even with some of those bigger enemies. I don't know which new enemies you've encountered, but like I'm still encountering new enemies. It just becomes, rinse and repeat. You're doing the same thing in those combat arenas, which again, budget title. I don't expect it to be AAA quality. But yeah, I've hit that point where I can't tell you the last time I died in a combat encounter. Like,
Mhm.
it's been a very, very long time, or even come close, just because it's become second nature. But the downside of that is that it becomes very repetitive, and I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So, to sum up, the whole as a package, I'm like okay with this game. I don't love it. I don't hate. I there are aspects of it I absolutely love, and then some that I just feel very underwhelmed. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would agree. I guess I go into this pretty high expectation, so I don't know if that was incorrect or not, but it looks so good. And there is so much of it to love.
Mhm.
It's just, yeah, for me, I think that combat is it's a real downer.
Yeah,
The-
the stories are dark too.
Right.
The
I
little
agree.
like Grimm
Yeah.
fairy tale stuff is like that first one is like holy cow.
Yeah. So it's way darker of a game than I expected.
Yeah.
Which
CB,
is
I
the
cut
way
you
you're
off. I'm
just
sorry.
no, it's fine. The way you're describing like the combat of the game and like how everything's synced together brings back a certain term that we agreed not to use.
Oh yeah, that's I avoided using that term intentionally.
I know, but the way you're describing everything to me, like that's the first thing that pops into my head.
Yeah, but the thing is that like the art and storytelling and voice acting is just so good. You know what I mean? Like
right.
the game that you're talking about overall, Zach felt about, but there are moments in aspects of this game that are just fantastic. And then there's just things that make you feel like you're playing a $40 game as opposed to a 60 or 70.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I've loved a lot of games with bad combat. It's something I can look past. I think the hang up in South of Midnight really is just, well, one, it's the way it's set up, because you just have to like look at the arena and just kind of sigh, because you're like,
Yeah.
here we go again.
Mhm.
So I think that sucks. And then combat, like each encounter goes on so long, like you get rid of almost all the enemies and then a whole second wave spawns in.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I
Here
thought
we
I
go
was
again.
done. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like panning for gold is a game. You just
Yeah.
start with a giant bucket of crap, and then
Uh-huh.
every now and then you just hit that nice little gold nugget.
And then have you gotten to a legit boss battle yet, Zach?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
Those are the little big guys.
I know. I've heard of them.
So the boss battles are like so close to being awesome because they feel kind of epic in what you're doing, but they also feel old school and like the tells are very easy to figure out. You have to not necessarily um, memorize the pattern, so to speak, but it's very easy to figure out. But then they do something in the because these are kind of like arenas. So like in one arena, you're like in this circular room with the middle gone because that's where the boss is.
Mhm.
And you go around this ring doing things that I won't spoil because it's actually kind of fun to experience. But then like they do the thing where once you get the life bar down to a certain amount, then like you kind of go to a new place, right? Like the floor crumbles below you and you come into a new area. We're going to fight the next phase of the boss. But what do you know? The arena looks exactly the same size and shape.
It's a perfect circle of the same size every time.
Like, and that's in both of the major boss battles that I had. That was what exactly we had.
Yeah.
Kevin Honigford had a comment here on YouTube. He says, I agree 1000%. If they took combat completely out of this game, I'd be totally cool with it.
I like that comment because I hadn't considered that, but I actually think I would like the game more if it did not have combat. Like
Yeah,
if it
Kevin,
if it was
let me
just
explore.
if it was just a platforming, the storytelling, and maybe you replace, because part of what you're doing is you're kind of healing these areas to learn about like the trauma of the people that live there,
Mhm.
and that's part of what the fights are. You find these signals, but if they were like platforming challenges or puzzles instead to get to those things to heal the area, that would be way more interesting than.
Oh, come on, just use the typical cop out. Make it a QTE.
Ugh.
It just sounds like the combat lacks diversity, and so you go into this. Every fight's the same fight, and so like,
Yes,
why would
every
you want
fight-
to do the same
every-
thing over and over and over.
Every fight is the same fight.
The only diversity you have is the number of powers that you have. You have a lot in your arsenal. I feel like multiple. I think there's 4 buttons outside of the jump button that are going to do some kind of attack, and they each have a cooldown. And so you're just like, okay, I used that one. Now I'm going to go use this one while the other one cools down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the only diversity you get. I've heard that something happens towards the end to make combat really good, but I have not experienced it yet. One reviewer that I listened to said it's a bummer that it took until the last chapter of the game for the combat to be fun. And that just kind of
that's not good.
Yeah.
That's rough.
We waited until the end to make the.
It sounds like
game
we're
fun.
being hyper negative about this game. There is a lot to love here. The art style and everything is fantastic. The music, you mentioned the music, is interesting because I feel like no 2 songs in this game are the same.
Mhm.
And it is like the oddest pairing of music with scenes that are happening because it's music like you will never experience in a video game. Like it's not like this like uplifting anthem type thing. You know what I mean?
Like a lot of them are just kind of like this dark jazz. It feels like haunted jazz sometimes. Yeah.
And then every once in a while, you get a song that like the lyrics are narrating what you're doing. It
Yeah,
feels,
I think it's cool. It's kind of like a folk song about what you're doing. Like they'll like you'll learn about two brothers fighting or whatever, but then a song will play, kind of telling you about that fight as well.
some of the lyrics are a little cheesy to me. I don't know if you guys. This is a weird comparison, but do you remember the movie Basketball?
Yeah.
Do you remember the scene where like he's upset about Reamer, they're fighting, and he gets in his car and turns on the radio, and there's a radio song playing that is like supposed to be this uplifting like thing, and it starts giving specific details about his
Yeah.
situation. That's what some of those moments feel like to me, and I can't decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing because it's not intentionally supposed to be funny.
I
But
guess I respect the heart of it, of what
Yes.
they're trying to do. Yeah.
And one thing that's hard to notice is that there's never a break in the music. So like there are certain things that happen in the game where the music is supposed to continue on to this next part of the song. So it's constantly looping this background music, and then you do something and then the lyrics kick in. So there's a weird timing thing because everybody is going to do things at a different speed. And the game has this weird loop that ends at specific places so that the next section of the song can go without there being a seam. I know that sounds complicated, but it's very ingenious that they did this. But
yeah.
I just like popped on the soundtrack real quick, by the way, to listen. It's a very bluegrass, like Bayou blues,
yes,
Mhm.
which I love that type of music. So
Well, it's all over South of Midnight.
gonna have to. I just added the soundtrack as well to my Spotify playlist. So
it's worth listening to. I just wonder how it would work without the context of the game. You know, what I mean, it's still good music. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like it would. You should play the game, man. It's on Game Pass.
I know.
Right.
I have to finish Shadows first.
Respectable.
You're gonna be busy for a while.
Yeah, and
You say that every time, and then I manage to smash through the game in like less than a week.
Yeah. Your time vortex is.
It's just been a busy week, and I'm like, okay, MGC and everything else is over with, so back to the things.
and like you said, it is on Game Pass, which makes it an easy recommend. But even at $40, I feel like it's a worthwhile pickup. It's
yeah, totally.
Especially if you go, you go in with how much we just crapped on the combat, and you'll probably just come out with it like, it's not that bad. What are you talking about? So much of our appreciations of things are expectations.
There's also like a lot of difficulty choices. I just did it on like the standard, whatever. But
agreed.
I feel like even bumping it up, now that I know what I know, wouldn't make it too difficult. But if you want, that's your answer, I guess. If you don't want the combat, just make it easy. But even then, you still got to. I don't know.
I feel like you probably still have to deal with all the stupid pauses that they do. It'd probably be even worse because you'd get them down to where they like get invulnerable quicker. So you just be like, you probably spend more time waiting than you would hitting them.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Got a couple other games to review for you very quickly. We had Mark and Sean stop by to talk about some games that they've been playing. We're going to play those for you guys right now. Thank you so much. Very quickly, before we get to our topic, I want to remind everybody about where you can follow the Gaming Outsider. If you like what you hear and want to be a part of the community, go to facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We do have a new member over there by the name of Cindy Giussino. Welcome, Cindy. Hope you're enjoying the. I almost said enjoying the combat. I'm still thinking about South of Midnight.
No one is enjoying the combat.
Cindy, welcome to the website. Hope you enjoy the combat.
Good luck.
Also, Discord. There's a link for that in the server if you'd like to join. We've got a new member over there. Simply goes by the name of Lore, Lore. And also, if you guys get a chance, drop us a review wherever you listen to podcasts, especially on Apple Podcasts, or I don't even know if you can rate on Spotify anymore, but that's helps us get the word out there, and we would really appreciate that if you do that. And lastly,
also make sure to subscribe on YouTube.
Yes, subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube right now, mash that subscribe button.
Oh no!
I did.
What have we become?
I did that for Zach. It's the last time I will ever do that, I promise.
Smash that like button and hit subscribe. Make sure to ding the bell so you get any notifications when videos are live.
Hit that like button.
Yeah.
And lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all our episodes there as well, in addition to our written content. Speaking of written content, Alyssa's review of Layla is up on there right now. And also, Mark's review of Star Overdrive is available if you'd like to read it. Really great review. I was really proud of Mark. He had some thoughts, some things he didn't like about that game, and he did it very respectfully and very professionally. Would really recommend people check that one out. All right, before we get to our From the Outside In topic, we're going to take another quick break for this message. For this week's topic, I'm going to hand the reins over to Jacob here in just a second because this was his idea. He wanted to discuss when the lines get blurred between quality of life improvements and actually affecting the difficulty in our favorite games. Now, Jacob, I know a lot of this stems from some of the things that you have encountered in Monster Hunter and the games in that series, and I'm hoping you can explain what you mean using that game as a specific example, because that's what it took for me to get what you were trying to get across. We had a conversation on Saturday about this when we were getting ready to post, and what does Jacob mean? What exactly is the issue in question?
Something his wife probably says every day. What does Jacob mean?
Yeah,
I'm glad you went there. I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
So my issue is, and yes, this goes from like game to game to game, but like Monster Hunter used to be one of the more difficult games. It used to be put up there along with the Souls games in terms of difficulty and how they would play out. But as Monster Hunter has gotten to be more mainstream and more accepted by different groups, they've made it easier and easier and easier to do the game itself, the gameplay, loop, I guess, easier. And before, you would start a mission, you'd go out, you would hunt. I mean, you would literally have to hunt. You'd go from area to area and not exactly looking for clues, but you're looking for the monster and you're trying to figure out like, okay, well, I can hear it coming from this side, so I'll go into that area next. And, you're just kind of following it. And once it went into Worlds, they started adding clues, which I thought was going to be fine, but then they added that the monster was always marked. And so that made it easier to find the monster. So you're not actually hunting the monster, you're just going to its location, which I thought took away from the difficulty of the game, because now you're not spending time to actually go to like, well, I know where it goes. I know where it, at this time it goes here. If it's hungry, it goes here, that kind of stuff. And then, when I was looking online for different things, I noticed that people were calling these quality of life changes, and it didn't make it more fun for me to make it easier to go out and hunt the monsters. It took away something for me. And then I noticed that there were other little things that took away from the game's difficulty as well. While you're running past, harvestable zones to collect herbs, it used to take an herb and a blue mushroom to make a potion. And now when you run past, it's one swipe, you collect everything that herb or the plant can give you, which would be 2 herbs. And because you have auto crafting, it automatically makes a potion. And so before, you actually had to know where things were in the map, how to get there, and what to craft them. And even in the old games, crafting wasn't 100%. And so you needed to bring items with you to make sure that your crafting was 100% accurate, or you'd end up with garbage, thus, making it harder on yourself. So there were so many communities that were calling these quality of life changes because it made their gaming experience easier. And so they enjoyed the game more. And the more and more I looked at other games, I looked at World of Warcraft. I've seen some things on Elden Ring. I've seen Helldivers. I've seen Armored Core 6 even. There's lots of people out there that believe certain things that make the game easier for themselves are quality of life, while other people don't want those in there because it's making it easier for them. It's making it easier for the other people who want these changes to progress further in the game. And it's almost gotten to the point where some of these people are telling the veteran players, they're calling them gatekeepers, because they don't want these players that haven't achieved those changes yet to get those changes. To
honestly, that's what it sounds like. Like
Yeah.
like hearing you describe it, and I don't mean to sound like I'm talking negative about you, but like where do you draw the line between um to avoid sounding like a hipster, like I was there before it was cool. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So
What's the difference between a gatekeeper and a traditionalist?
There you go.
Right.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
not even that. When you're going to like, so the World of Warcraft one, with the proficiencies, once you got to a certain level, you could start making different things if you had the recipes for it, and then you could sell them to the market that didn't have those proficiencies yet. And so people were wanting those proficiencies without spending the time it took to actually get those proficiencies. They wanted these catch-up mechanics to be in place so they could get up to those areas, so they didn't have to buy on the market from these people who had the proficiencies. While the people with those proficiencies wanted the people who didn't have them not to have them, because it was ruining that part of the gameplay for them. They worked on these proficiencies. They want to enjoy the benefits of those proficiencies while they have them.
Was it ruining that other person's experience though? Because you're not playing the game competitively, right?
Oh,
No.
okay. I can kind of see where like some of these people are coming through. Like if you were playing since the beginning and you put all this time and effort into a game, and then all of a sudden it's just like, hey, I know you spent 4 years refining your character and becoming like top tier for your character. But all these new guys that are starting at this new expansion, they're going to get everything you have without even having to do any of it.
I get. Is that what you're saying, Jake?
It invalidates the time of the players that have already put time and effort into into the characters or into the gameplay, to have these new people come in and just, they're already at the top.
Or
But does it invalidate, because you still have the memories of those experiences and you still went
Yeah.
through them?
there are times where it does dilute the player pool, especially if there's games that involve like player rating, because you have these brand new players that basically just essentially bought an account and are automatically max level to keep up because the game's been out for so long, but they have no idea the intricacies of how to play this character. So there are times where like you could have a raid of like 25 people in this game that falls apart because somebody is like, yeah, man, I'm a level 80 warrior, but has no idea how to play their character.
I think that's a reasonable argument for sure.
So going back to Monster Hunter, when Iceborne came out, they released a armor class called Defender, and Defender took one item to make and was in the plus category, so it was stronger than all of the minus quests or the low quests that were in the game. And so while you're going through the story to catch up to the players that are now in master rank, you're blowing through the game. You're absolutely destroying. So these moments that are supposed to be like, oh, that is the next big bad, I have to reach new heights in my skill, you have equipment on you that will just obliterate the creature. And so there's no effort in you having to actually be good at the game. You're just getting carried until the high ranks.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I get what you mean. It gets a little bit like, I'm the only way I can think about this right now is like Destiny 2, right? Did a lot of quality of life improvements where they got rid of huge chunks of content and auto leveled people up to catch up. But it means that they missed out on so much of the game, thereby making the game worse. But they do that in an effort to keep people engaged, right? Is the idea, but it actually undermines it. But I think in the Monster Hunter example, I think I'm just trying to understand. Sorry, because these people haven't gone through the more rigorous battles of earlier Monster Hunters or chase the monster, like they don't understand what they're missing out on.
The significance, like, well, either lore or gameplay wise,
or the
of
thrill,
like why this is doing this.
Yeah, or maybe they come into the newest Monster Hunter and they're like, I don't get it, man. Like, it's so easy to find where the monster is. What are you guys complaining about? And you're like, well, yeah, it is. Yeah, for you, that's you're not playing.
And I mean, that could be a hugely negative thing, because if you are somebody who's never played a Monster Hunter game and just like walks in and you're like, wow, this game's so easy, a baby could play it,
right? I guess,
and so that it just completely turns you off from the series, I guess.
Which I guess is interesting, because it is like it's kind of catering to the lowest common denominator, right? Mm-hmm. But the reason the game got so popular was because of what it was, right?
Right.
Like,
yes.
Yeah. So
I don't necessarily fault a developer for trying to squeeze any last revenue they can out of a game before it blinks out of not existence, but
zeitgeist.
If you go like Shadow of War, Shadow of War had a 20-hour slog at the end of it. That was this grinding thing to get to the secret ending, which as long as you just did the gameplay, you got to. And when they closed the stores down, they shrunk that down to an hour, and they allowed basically all of the players to reach that as fast as possible without having to go through the 20 hours, without having to upgrade your equipment or fighting all the enemies or going through the process of actually dealing with the all the extra regions or strongholds or whatever it is. Yeah. What is that system called? We talk about it all the time.
The Nemesis system?
The Nemesis system. Thank you.
Nemesis?
You wouldn't have to deal with any of the Nemesis system as much as you did when before. And so when trying to like grow enemies to get higher to actually deal with those things to progress the bar even further, like you didn't have to do any of that kind of stuff. So
which is kind of the point of that game. That was like why you wanted to play it, right?
Well, I mean, he also described the 20 hours at the end of as a slog. So
that's true.
I mean, because you were just basically character building for the enemy. You would have to go out, you'd have to actually die to an enemy, and then you'd have to kill every person in the way of that enemy to get them to the top to do the things that you needed to do to progress the storyline itself. And so, having to do that for 20 hours took some time. But then once, I made it there, and then as soon as I made it there, they were like, "Oh yeah, now you can do it in an hour." And I was like, "Well, I should have just waited. I would have already been done."
Right.
So basically, it sounds like developers are letting people, they're cashing in on FOMO, right? Give you the hard experience up front. If you're willing to wait, you're going to have a, I don't even want to say quality of life experience, but you're not going to have as difficult of an experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at Elden Ring, so many players got past the first Radon fight in that one, which was like a huge badge of honor for some people. They got through the fight before the patch. Okay, that was cool, but like that was a huge step in that game to get past this fight to go on, and they were talking about it for forever. And then now with the first expansion, they were like, oh, the second Radon fight, the very last boss of the expansion, was so hard, only so many people were able to do it, and now they've nerfed that one too to allow even more people to have that badge of honor.
See, but this is a good example because Elden Ring I'm obviously familiar with, and I platinumed it, and right away. It's no big deal. But it does not bother me that people have an easier Radon fight. I mean, I actually kind of feel bad for them that they don't have the excitement of overcoming the tough Radon fight. But if somebody was like, "Yeah, I beat Radon on my third try," I'd be like, "Hey, good for you," But I'm secure in the knowledge of like, it was a different experience, but I don't think it negates their experience.
They need badges of honor, like based on what patch you beat that boss at.
Yeah. I guess that's what the timestamps in your trophies and achievements are in some way.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna like take the time to look up that. You know what I mean? You need that quick, like instant thing. Nobody's gonna be like,
just so you feel better than other people, I guess.
Yeah, it's more for yourself. But
I mean, some of like with Radon, like some of that is just straight up balancing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The second Radon fight, especially, man, that thing was unbearable.
But they're looking at something like, ooh, we accidentally put the integer in the code in the wrong place, and like he's like 10 times more powerful than he should be.
Yeah.
So there is some of that, but at the same time, like over time, like I can understand like a little bit of balancing, but just immediately smashing it down where everybody's like, oh, look, everybody can win this now. Like there does need to be that point where if you make everything too easy, then where's the fun?
Is anybody really complaining that Elden Ring is too easy?
I mean, I think I did it at release, but
that first go around, like the first new game plus, when you like fight the first couple bosses, you're like, ooh, like I am way more powerful than I should be.
Yeah, I'm just kidding for the record. It's a hard game. It's easier to get into than any other FromSoft game, but I think that was intentional. Yeah. It's more accessible, not necessarily easier.
I feel like a lot of those games are as hard as you make them.
Yeah,
so
definitely. That's true.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, like that's where some of the streamers, like I enjoy watching them. They're like, I'm gonna do this entire run playing only with a Guitar Hero guitar, and I'm like, cool, man. Like, there's no way I would ever think of doing something that's psychotic.
No,
but good on you.
The one dude that beat. I don't remember what Souls game it was, but he did it with the DK bongo drums.
Yeah.
There was the guy that did, what was it, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 with bananas.
Wait, bananas.
Like literally took electronic diodes and put them into bananas, so he would have to smash a banana to like.
Oh my god, I
move the
do remember
character.
that.
It was the funniest thing to watch, but I'm like, what a complete waste of bananas.
Right. What a complete waste.
I have a specific. Have you ever? I'm sorry. You know what, Scott? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I totally forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Have you ever specifically, like, you can see every ounce of reason behind a quality of life change, but it irks you particularly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that happened to me with Star Wars Outlaws. Because I liked that A, there were instant fail stealth missions, and I liked that B, whenever she would like climb a ladder or do anything significant, she would throw away her like heavy weapon that she's carrying around. Okay. Yeah. Because it made it feel like a scrappy smuggler. It fit into the fantasy I had of the game I was playing. But they've updated it, and they got rid of the instant fail stealth missions, and you can like carry an assault rifle around in more scenarios. And I understand the reason behind both of those, and they seem to be widely celebrated. But for me in particular, I'm like, this sucks. And I was just wondering if that's ever happened to anybody else.
What was yours, CB?
World of Warcraft. There's a comment there that specifically highlights. Kevin writes in, WoW is a perfect example. It was so much fun back until 4.0. By then, it was a completely different game. For those who played World of Warcraft way back in the day,
Mindy is talking
like vanilla WoW, like OG vanilla WoW. The game used to be way harder. And then over time, like just a little bit of an RNG change here and a difficulty tweak here. By the time it got to like where 4.0 was, the game was so easy, but a lot of that was also power creep and people learning how to play their characters. But you talk to like some of the old like players, Naxxramas, the 40 man, the original version of like one of the big raids, was one of the most insane and challenging things for a raid dungeon. And then like later on, like they took it away and it came back years later as a 25 man. And like, it was hard in the beginning, but now people walk through it. Being a player that started way back in the day, Onyxia was a massive raid. The 50 DKP minus video, that's the Onyxia raid. For those who are listening and know what it's talking about on YouTube, it's
we're speaking a foreign language.
I know, I can't follow any of what's happening right now.
There's a YouTube video called Onyxia Raid Wipe, where like this is back in the days when people used Vent instead of like Discord, Ventrilo.
Is that Leroy?
The other language.
Leroy was Upper Blackrock Spire.
It was a fake. It was a faked video.
Yes, but the Onyxia one was not. But back in the day, it used to take more dots. It used to take 40 people and a very specific like class setup.
Ude uye one ikpeatenle.
Yes. But it took a very specific amount of like so many like warriors and so many clerics, and the fight was still insanely hard.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can walk into that, and like Onyxia was like a major play, like, but you can walk into it and like solo this character now. Like just like, boop, I killed it myself. No. So just over time, like that's a power creep issue. Yeah, Melissa. I can't help but focus on the thing.
You can't. I'm sorry. You gotta actually.
I have ADD, man. Like you gotta stop that.
We're still learning this live stream thing, I guess.
Yeah. What happened about not commenting on comments that come in?
I can't help it. It was just like,
we need a hand signal for like put that comment up.
That's
well, Zack had one earlier, yeah.
But over time, like I did read an article on this, like where like you have to simplify gameplay and change like the RNG of things over time, or like even something like adding in fast travel. I remember like certain games you had to hoof it from like one end of the map to the other. And then they're like, now we're going to add in fast travel. I'm like, dude, I spent like days walking in this stupid game, and now you can just go from A to B.
But I feel like if I were playing a game like that and I was hoofing it and then they added fast travel later, I wouldn't feel slighted. I wouldn't feel like, oh, I just wasted all this. It was still an experience.
It's so oh, I forget which one it was. If it was Oblivion or Skyrim, but one of them, like, you had to walk to the area first and then you opened up a fast travel marker, but you still got the experience of what's so funny?
Nothing. Just watching our producer hit on your wife.
This is becoming unlistenable.
I know, right?
Nice. I did not see that. I was talking. Anyway,
Kevin in the comments asked Mindy, "Will you marry me?" Who is Jacob's wife? There, I wanted to fill in the listeners at least a little bit. Jeez.
And she's going for it. So. But anyway, you had to get to the town.
Is there enough room in a marriage with Kevin? Like, it's gonna be Kevin, Mindy, and Sonic the Hedgehog. Is there enough room in that marriage?
Oh, I thought you were making fun of.
Don't forget about Shadow. Like, Shadow is a number one priority for Kevin.
Oh, it's definitely not a fat joke, dude. It's 2025, man.
Is there gonna be enough room in that relationship with Kevin there?
Nope, I meant Sonic. He's Sonic. Kevin is obsessed with Sonic. Reason now I feel like
We
off
have
the rails.
Lost control of this podcast.
I feel like
Jacob, if you got a point,
asshole
make
now.
it quick because
I'm being a real Shadow the Hedgehog. Oh my god.
So anyway, I think it was in 4. You had in Oblivion, you had to make it to the place first, and then it opened up a fast travel marker. It still had you still earned all of the things on the way to the fast travel point before it allowed you to fast travel.
Right.
But in Skyrim, you can just hire a carriage to take you, and then you miss all the stuff in between. So there's no really reason to explore until you go out into the world to go to a specific points.
Which actually is really important. Finish your point, Jake, because then I have something to weigh in right after that.
So if you go back even further to Morrowind in the journal would tell you where to go without giving you a quest marker. Oh, north of this town, on like right of the trail is where you need to go.
Now they got quest markers.
And now they have quest markers. So now you're not like looking for anything. You're just, I'm just beeline into the quest marker, and that's it.
Yeah. There is something to be jerk. There's something that is said to be lost about that with just immediately like having fast travel right out the gate, like from area to area, because there are those like timed missions that come up as you're like traveling through a game.
Yeah.
Which I think is funny because there was somebody that did a video of Skyrim where like they just kept bouncing around to the different places. And when they stopped, all those characters just like appeared and being like, hey, I have a mission for you. And it was like, exit that dialogue. And then another one came up and another one. And so it was like 10 minutes straight of like these timed characters coming up to them and asking them for like, we need to join you on this mission. I'm like,
I have a letter for you.
Like they just randomly come up to you and talk to you whether you want to or not.
Yeah, like you don't have a choice because it's like, oh, I went to this town, like I'm supposed to meet this person, but because I timed the like quick travel right,
yeah,
I missed that. But now I have to talk to the person in this city, but can never complete the quest because the NPC is stuck in that city.
Gotcha. Well, let's see what the community said. We had a few comments about this topic. Why don't we start with CB? Speaking of Kevin Honigford.
Oh, Lord Honigford himself writes in, I don't think I've ever seen them actually devalue a game in my eyes. Most that I can think are menu related, something along those lines. All of the quality of life improvements I can think of would change gameplay, have come with the option that lets you utilize them or not. So if I thought they took away from immersion, like much like the Witcher pick above, which I don't have a picture to show you.
It was posted on the comment.
I know. I simply left them turned off. I think it's quite cool to let people that are struggling with something like that enjoy the game though, so I'm all for it.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't have a problem.
Nicely done, Kevin.
Yes. Like I would say that, like, when it comes to a multiplayer game, like you're talking about in Monster Hunter, when you're playing with somebody, or WoW, where you're in raids together, that I can kind of see the argument. But if it's a single player game and it's not affecting anybody else's gameplay, it's just retroactively affecting their experience with the game, that's not a problem for me.
Our quality of life improvements sometimes just poor game design
To begin with.
Yeah.
Like initially. Yeah.
Oh, like a great example, Assassin's Creed Shadows, taking away the auto follow the road option until they had to patch it in as a quality of life feature.
Yeah.
That was some bad design they had to fix up.
I mean, you're not gonna remember everything, right? That's why QA is a thing.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
crunch
You're
is a
right. When you
thing.
have over half a decade to make a game, you're right. You can't remember everything.
Up half
And
a
a,
decade.
and a feature that was in every other RPG Assassin's Creed. Yeah, you're
Or
right.
just
I'm sure it was just
claiming it's a quality of life upgrade for menus, but making the menus worse somehow because they're all clicky now.
oh, dude, I hate all that.
I am not a fan of that. That should be like an option you can select, right? Like, what kind of menu style do you want?
Yeah. Do you want the clicky menu, or do you want this style of menu?
And let me freaking pick inverted somehow, like when I start the game. Like,
That's only a quality of life for you.
No.
And me.
There's a lot of people, dude. Like, it drives me nuts that you've opened up a game and it has all of these menu options for HDR and contrast and all this and stuff that you have to like go through and read. And inversion is not one of the ones. How is that not like a regular thing that is like, which inversion do you want for this game whenever you start it?
Pick the controls option and not the video option.
What's frustrating about this specifically, like Xbox and PlayStation both have a system level thing where you can go in there and say always invert Y-axis.
Yeah.
And 0 games listen to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Drives me crazy. Anyway,
Steam. I was going to say Steam has an overlay that you can change every button on your controllers, and then some games just won't even listen to it. So I feel you.
Glad they figured all this out.
Not that I've spent 30 minutes remapping my entire controller to better fit my needs. You're just not gonna. Okay.
All right, Zach, you want to take the next comment?
It's a big one. Aaron Hughes writes in, honestly, it really depends on the game and what the quality of life improvements are, in quotations. For instance, some quality of life is simply UI rearrangements to clean them up, make them easier to understand, decipher, reduce particle clutter. Those are generally considered good by most players. Accessibility should always be provided as an option in every single game in modern production, and it is not a quality of life improvement to the game. They are allowing other people experiencing different lives whom should not be barred from enjoying gaming if possible. Making game easier, 1, is purely a point of perspective and is not the same for every player of the game, and 2, has been a part of gaming for most of my life. Games have had difficulties to choose from for the most part for decades at this point, and those difficulties relate to everyone differently. I think that just because the game is too easy for one person who likely has large amounts of playtime either within the franchise or a particular genre of game doesn't mean the game itself is too easy, because I bet you there's always at least one player who experiences difficulty to some degree in that same game. To descend from my horse, no, I don't think making valid attempts at improving your game's experience in general, and especially to others with different capabilities, diminishes its value whatsoever. This brings up an interesting thing, because I feel like he was calling you out almost directly, Jacob, about the you just know the franchise too well. Not to talk about it all the time, but Assassin's Creed Shadows has it lets you choose between, do you want waypoint markers or do you want to have to actually investigate your targets?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of gives options to people who want to play it more old school or more contemporary style.
And that was at launch.
Yeah, and I just wonder if maybe Monster Hunter could do something like that of do you want to painstakingly track this monster down, or you just want to tell you where it is?
In a single player world that would work, but in a multiplayer world, why don't I just follow the guy next to me?
I guess it would have to be
he obviously knows where the monster is. I don't know.
I guess it'd have to be different lobbies, right, or something like that, or
we're a Waymark lobby, or we're gonna figure it out lobby.
But then you're splitting your player pool, and then yeah,
old school lobby, new school lobby.
Right. No, it makes sense from our perspective as players, but from Capcom as a publisher, they're probably like, well, we want everyone together so we can sell more things continuously to more people.
Yep.
How can we show off your sweet armor set you're paying $3.99 for, if not for a full lobby?
Yeah. Well, and I understand going from like game to game to game, these are changes that are happening within a franchise and not just in one single game, especially with Monster Hunter. But like you're making like the game was loved because it was Monster Hunter, not because everyone played it. And now you're taking away from the Monster Hunter franchise. Like everything is still there, but it's a shell of its former self. Even in later in Wilds afterwards, they go, here, this is a paintball, and paintballs weren't in Wilds or whatever that middle one was. No, or
Rise.
Yeah, it wasn't Worlds or Rise. Thank you. I'm the expert and I don't remember what it's called. Yeah. But it wasn't in either of those games. So it hasn't been in the game in like 8 years. And at the end of this one, they go, here, use a paintball to track your monster. And the only reason why there's a paintball in the game is so when you're fighting multiple monsters of the same species at the same time, you know which one that you're currently attacking. And that's the only use that it has now versus actually tracking the monster. So it has a use. It doesn't have a use. Like I used to track multiple monsters of the same species because I'm doing damage to that one and it's actually wounded. It's, scarred up now. So I'm looking at the nuances of the game versus just this giant blinking marker over its head telling me that that's the one I'm fighting. But
interesting perspective.
Again, that's just me.
Yeah.
Like,
Jake, you want to take the last comment?
All righty. Where's my mouse? There it is. Thomas Bex writes, I don't see quality of life improvements necessary as making a game easier. It could be if an easier difficulty would get more people to play it or to finish it, but most quality of life improvement gameplay makes it more fun to play, unless the idea of quality of life is different than what I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's quality of life. It's things that are supposed to make it a more accessible gameplay experience.
I see. Even accessible is still like, I go back to Dark Souls. What is Dark Souls 2 that had Champion Gunder in it, or is that 3? Either way, Champion Gunder was the stomper. He stomped you from, like, my kids played it when they were younger and they could not beat him. And I was like, well, until you beat him, you can't play the game. And that was their like, oh, well, I need to get better at the game to beat him. If everyone, if I asked my dad to come down and beat this guy for me and I play the game, I'm going to get stomped in the game. And so they beat Champion Gunder by themselves, and then they went on to play and beat the game. And
it's like the equivalent of like throwing a kid into the pool to teach him how to swim.
Yeah,
right.
It kind of was, but that's like if they played other Souls games, but this one was different. It was a new enemy. It was whatever, but it's like an instant boss battle at the beginning of the game, just to basically gatekeep people from playing the game. And I don't see there was anything wrong with that. There's no reason to nerf that if that was the level of difficulty you wanted in the game. But making the game more accessible for everyone to play, I feel like I just feel like, yes, like Capcom made the game more accessible for everyone to play, to have everyone playing the game. But if that's what you want, like, you're gonna hurt fans. But like now,
the question is who do you want to appease more as a developer? Do you want to appease the small pool of hardcore fanatics, or the vast large pool of gamers that haven't played it yet that could potentially buy it?
I want money.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a business, right? And I don't know if I have a hard time thinking that developers are like worried about that when they're going to make fistfuls of money by selling it to other people that haven't played it yet.
I guess the telling point of that would be Destiny 2, where they kept catering to the already established diehard players, and they kept bleeding player counts, and the game is less valuable than they claimed it was to PlayStation and stuff. So maybe there's a financial lesson in trying to please everybody, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting take. That is our topic. Thank you to everybody that wrote in with some comments. I had a really good time with that discussion. I thought it was a good discussion. So
yeah.
Next week, we are going to be talking about gifts of gaming. I want to hear sometime in your past as an adult or as a child when you got a video game as a present from somebody. And I want to hear about those stories. And we're going to post that in the social media. We want to hear from everybody. What is the best birthday gift, Christmas gift, Valentine's Day gift? Yes, I went to school with kids that got presents on Valentine's Day, and it made no sense to me. So stay tuned.
That's because they were loved.
Yeah, it sucks that their parents love them, right? What a shame.
My good friend of mine got a copy of Road Blasters on NES for a Valentine's Day gift, and it just kind of was like, okay, I get like candy, like a basket of candy or something, but You
I
got road
guess-
blasters.
I guess his mom was in love with him.
Apparently.
Cost of candy these days, man. It's about the same
Yeah, it's
equivalent.
about the same.
We will
So-
find out next week, but next week is Easter, and I got one of the best Easter gifts of my life when I was a teeny tiny kid, so I'll save it for then.
All right. Well, stay tuned to Facebook, Twitter, Discord, all of our social media outlets, Instagram. We would love to hear your responses, and I think it'll be a good episode next week. But that's going to do it for this week's The Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening. This episode was produced by Kevin Honigford. All the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com, STEMAGE music.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Zach, any parting words or recommendations for our listeners?
Yes, I just started reading the God of War novelization of the 2018 video game,
Oh, I didn't know that existed.
and it's pretty good. You see, obviously in the game you play as Kratos, so you see a lot of things from his perspective, but the book can afford the time to get into Atreus' head a little bit more, and that kid's just sad, dude. He just wants his dad to love him.
Mhm.
So it's been interesting getting a different perspective, and it cuts out all of the combat and puzzles
Yeah.
that makes the video game long. So it's pretty breezy read, pretty easy read. But it's kind of a fun way to refresh myself about that game.
Nice. Is there one on Ragnarok as well?
I didn't see one.
Hmm.
But
That'd be
I'm
sad.
reading this in the hopes to start Ragnarok on my wife-free weekend.
Oh, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on that game.
Yeah.
I would be sad by that book because it doesn't constantly have Mimir talking to me.
Mimir narrates the audiobook.
All right, now I have to listen to the audio.
Yeah, there you
just sold him on it like
go.
100%.
Done.
Does Mimir do the voice of Kratos? Like, boy.
I do not know. I only listened to a clip. So
Okay.
um,
All right. What about you, Jacob?
Kevin, Mindy is my wife. Go back to your own wife. Thank you.
All right. So that's Jacob's contribution. Stay away from his wife. How about you, CV?
Two quick things. I started watching Yellowstone.
Okay. I hear
Great
good
show.
things.
Dude, I'm already through the first season.
Who cares about a stone that's yellow?
It's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
I can see why your wife's thinking about Kevin right now.
Yeah, there we go. But did any of you ever see the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movie?
I didn't see it, but I remember this. I remember the box art.
Yeah.
Okay, because the Dark Children's Universe, I watched the next two iterations.
What are they?
Popeye the Slayer Man and Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
They can't be good, can they?
Okay, one you could definitely tell was made on a much smaller budget, which was the Popeye movie. I love B-roll horror. That one was bad.
Okay.
Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, there is like a sub story going on during it that is dark,
Okay.
really disturbingly dark.
What was that movie? Was it August Underground or something they talked about some weeks ago?
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, I bought that.
Yeah.
That movie's messed up.
I actually watched that after you talked about it.
Yeah,
It
what'd
is-
you
it
think?
is- I meant to message you. It's don't watch it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
It's just-
And there's three of them.
yes, yeah, I saw that. One's enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one is enough. It really makes a Serbian film look kind of light.
yeah, yeah. It makes Serbian film look like it's trying too hard.
Yeah.
I've also got a movie recommendation. I'm a little late to the party on this one, but I watched on Hulu this past weekend the movie Thelma. Have you guys heard about Thelma yet?
Oh, this is a old lady
Yes.
getting revenge on like a identity or phone scammers or something like that.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. Old lady gets scammed by scam artists over the phone, and her family just doesn't do anything about it. Like it's her daughter and her son-in-law and her grandson don't really do much, and so she just decides to take matters into her own hands and goes on a trek to go do this. That's all the setup I'm going to give you because it's just great. It is not like it never goes to like a super dark place. Like I was getting. You ever seen the movie God Bless America? I
Yeah.
thought it was. I thought it was going to go that route, and it doesn't. It stays mostly a comedy, but it is so worth a watch. It's a very charming, cute movie, and the woman, her name is escaping me, that plays Thelma, is just adorable. She's just such a great grandmother, and it's got the girl from Dazed and Confused is in it. Now she plays the daughter. Agent Coulson is in it. Like it's just like random, and then there's a pretty fun cameo at the very end of the movie. Like, how did you get that actor to do this movie? Worth watching on Hulu. The movie is just simply called Thelma. It is pretty much guaranteed to put a smile on your face. Highly recommend it. All right. Until next week, I am Scott Clark with Zack Parkerson, Jacob Gunderson, and Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are the Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.